All right. So again, good morning, guys. Thank you for joining this week's weekly wave. I'll jump right in to some updates that we have. For those of you who may not have been on the wave yet or haven't gotten our emails that go out, you may not know that the wave has completed its rollover. We finished that earlier this week, and a notification is posted on the wave homepage right now explaining that the communication between EdPlan and the wave will be rolling out throughout the week. So as we begin to get enrollments from your student information system, as we continue to send files to EdPlan, your students will begin to pop up. So just bear with us for the first week or so while we get our initial list of students into EdPlan. But again, if you do have questions about EdPlan specifically, please do reach out to our special education office. We work very closely with them during this time to make sure that the beginning of the year information getting into EdPlan goes smoothly. So if you're seeing anything strange or you're hearing something that is strange from your special ed directors, please do reach out to our special ed education office, or you can send an email to us and make sure that it gets over to them. Next update is about direct certification. We got many emails yesterday about students not appearing in the direct certification report. To my knowledge, we have gotten that issue resolved. So your districts should be showing students who are directly certified. And this is a list that comes to us directly from DHS. If you are still missing students, please do reach out to us at our student information email so we can take a look at what's going on there. All right, so we're going to get into some reminders. So right now, for those of you who do have access to the wave, right now you should be reviewing your STN wizard. These are going to be students who could not be automatically assigned an STN number. And a flow chart is available on our student information documents and guides website. We may put that link in the chat here in a little bit. But that flow chart will explain to you what pieces of information go into the STN assignment. So things like first name, last name, birthday, all that information is very important to get correct as you're putting in that student demographic information, because that is what we use to determine whether or not we can automatically assign a STN back to a student. Say if they went from one school district to another, we can make sure that that student is still keeping their STN number from one district to another. Or if they're a brand new student to Oklahoma and has never had an STN before, we can make sure that they get assigned a new STN. So the students that are in the STN wizard are those students who could not automatically be assigned an STN number. And if your student does not have an STN number, they will not appear on any report. They will show up for the WAVE state certification reports under find missing students. And I just have to say it is very important for you all to make sure that you're not assigning new STNs to students that are transferring into your district when you know that they have come to you from another school district. Now, obviously, there are situations that would warrant a student getting a new STN. For example, if there is a court order, for example, that requires the history of the student information to kind of stop as of whenever that court order goes into effect. But generally speaking, we do not expect for a student who's had a STN number previously to be assigned a new one. Another reminder, right now you should also be reviewing your ownership conflicts. These are just situations where we have either two school districts or the same school district saying that they have the same student enrolled at the same time. We can't have students enrolled in two different school sites at the same time. So you'll need to get with the other school district, or if that conflict is with yourself, get with our office to resolve that issue. And again, just like STN numbers, if there is a ownership conflict, the student will not appear on any report. They will show up also in find missing students. So ultimately, your goal is to get your errors and issues text box that appears on the WAVE homepage from the picture on the left to the picture on the right. We have had some questions from districts saying, hey, our errors and issues box is 0. That's a little strange. Is there anything going on? If right now you're not seeing any issues, but you're a little wary of that, and you want us to just double check, again, reach out to us and we'll make sure that nothing is hiccuping in our system, so that if there is really an error, that we're displaying that to you. This call is going to be filled with reminders. So as I've said for the last few weekly WAVE calls, you'll want to make sure that for your schools and students, we have updated Title I statuses. So I'm going to get a little bit more detailed with that. So for schools that are targeted, and these statuses are coming to you from our federal programs office, if your school is targeted, only students marked as yes will be counted on the Title I Part A and Title V Part B report. Only the students that are counted as yes. If you have if your school is marked as targeted and you have students that are marked as no, but you are serving them and they are getting Title I services, they will not be counted on that report. And when you go to compare the student information report that some vendors may have for you to what is on that report, they will not match until you get those students accurately marked. Again, for students who are in a school-wide school, although all students in that situation are counted for the Title I Part A and Title V Part B, all students should have a Title I status of yes. And if your school is not applicable, they're not receiving Title I statuses, and this also applies to schools that may be designated as Title I or as targeted in school-wide, but are not serving services to that particular school. You'll want to make sure that that school is marked as not applicable and all students are marked with a Title I status of no. And any student with that combination will not be counted for that Title I report. And the Title I Part A and Title V Part B report, it's not opening right now. It's something that we do in the spring, but having this squared away now will make it a lot easier for you all to get that report certified. And it will hopefully bring up less questions about wonky numbers from your federal programs staff. All right, and I can see there's a question about Title I. We don't have an infographic for you this week, but we will have something put together for you all next week. It'll be similar to the other flow chart that Aaron has put out. So we'll make sure that that gets to your hands. All right, so on to validations. So I said last week that we had some changes. I'm just going to detail what those changes are right now. These have not been pushed to production right now. So for those of you who are looking at your validations, same old, same old. We have not applied any of the updates that we're doing right now to you to see. So for validations, we are in the process of rewriting every single error message as well as warning messages. We have new descriptions. So when you look to see what type of errors a particular student or school has, it'll be so much clearer for you guys to understand what's going on. And as well as putting out a easier to use interface that'll help you guys easier, or I guess better understand what is considered to be an error and what is considered to be a warning. And we'll make sure to put out what our definitions for an error and a warning is. Generally speaking, for any warnings, these are just a heads up that this information may be correct and it may be accurate. It's not going to really affect you reporting wise. It's just something, say, if you have an EL student who is marking on their home language survey that their home native and dominant language is English. That isn't necessarily a problem, but that might be something that you would like to have a heads up for. So as of yesterday, we have addressed about 350 validations. So that breaks down to being 82 new validations, 245 revised validations, so meaning we've updated the error message and the description, and we have deleted 22 error messages. Don't get too excited about deletions. It means that we've either had something duplicated or the validation that we're running was no longer required. The validation that is being ran on a particular set of information isn't required for you all to send to us anymore.
I'd like to jump in here, Lakeisha. So she mentioned that there's a new application, and it will be rolling out sometime this fall. It's going to require some training, so during these weekly calls, we'll put out when that training is going to come up. But it is much more user-friendly. It will also allow you to determine if this error affects any of the reports that are tied to that error. So if you have an error with the first name, it's going to show you that it's tied to every report, because we can't get an STN for a student if the first name isn't provided. So it'll list, when you can hit a report, you can click a report and see all the errors that apply to that report, so that you can work through, during a reporting time frame, you can work through all the errors just for that report, and not worry about necessarily as much of the other little report of all the other little errors. You can work just through those reports one by one as they come up, and fix the errors as they go. We hope that this will help long-term with data accuracy and reliability, but mostly it'll help you guys realize or understand how we use the data as it comes in, and where it flows to, and how it's pushed out to different sections in the agency, so that you guys can see, okay, if I change this in my student information system, this is how it gets sent up to the State Department, and then they use it like this. So that's kind of the hope, that it's a lot more transparent of the way we use the data, and the way when we receive it, how it goes, flows through, and you see that data flow. So that's another bonus of this new application, that every single error is tied to a report, if it's needed for that report, or it may not be tied to a report, so it's not quite as important. But you will be able to see the difference between what a warning is and what an error is, and how strongly it ties to reporting.
Couldn't say it better. Thank you, Eric. One thing that I do have to say about this whole process is, with the new error descriptions, what we're doing for a large majority of them is, for those of you who are familiar, if you were to click on, there's a button on the data validation wizard that allows for you to get more detail about what is going on with a particular error or warning. And so with this update, what we're able to do is dynamically show you exactly what you're putting in. So say you're throwing an error for first name. We now just show you, hey, for this student, we're getting this first name. If it's Thursday Junior, we can show you that, hey, Thursday Junior, this is the name that you're sending for this particular student. Here are all of the valid options for a name that you can send to us. And one of those options would tell you that you can't put the word junior at the very end of the name. It looks as though it should appear somewhere else. We'll try to point you in directions of how to fix different things, and hopefully it'll be a lot more clear to any new staff that might not be too technical to understand exactly how to fix that error and to actually know exactly what piece of information we're seeing versus what is in your student information system. So going forward, like Eric said, that rollout will happen soon, and we will definitely make sure that we send out notifications through all of our normal channels to let you know what's going on. So right now, the tentative plan of action is to roll out those new validations first, and then roll out the new interface later, right after we give training. And so to go into something else, we are seeing a lot of grade level does not align errors. And so what this means is all we're doing is checking to make sure that the school or the school that gets funding for the student is accredited. So to back up a little bit, what we're doing first is we're checking to see if the school site in which we're getting enrollment from, say we're getting an enrollment from the high school, matches up with the school of membership. The school of membership tells us which site gets funding for the student. So if they don't match, then what we'll do is we'll use the school of membership. We'll essentially ignore whatever site that the enrollment is coming from. So if the school of membership isn't accredited to serve the grade that the student is enrolled in, they will get a validation error. So to give you an example, if you have a student that is enrolled in the first grade, say, and we're getting an enrollment from a site that serves kindergarten through 5th grade, and the school of membership only serves pre-K and kindergarten, this will fail validations. The school of membership is not accredited to serve grade 1. It is only accredited to serve pre-K and kindergarten. That's why the error is popping up. That same student, for the second example, is enrolled in the 1st grade. Enrollment comes from a site that serves pre-K and kindergarten, but the school of membership serves kindergarten through 5th grade. Because the school of membership is accredited to serve the 1st grade, this will not pop up with a validation error. It'll pass the validations. So make sure that you're taking a look at that. From my understanding, for most student information system vendors, if not all, this should be 2 separate fields. So you should have an option to tell us which school is the school of membership for that student. So if you're seeing a large number of these errors, this example that's on the screen is exactly why that error is popping up. If that's not corrected, we're going to be starting to use the school of membership to accurately place the student in the school that they are getting funding from. Some of you may have noticed that we did that towards the end of the year for the ASR. We'll be applying that same level of detail to the rest of the WAVE state certification reports throughout the year. So if you are seeing this issue, this is going to become more problematic for you if it is ignored. So make sure that you're getting those errors, this particular error, to be non-existent. And this is a repeat, I've already said. It will directly affect some of the WAVE reports, for example, F2SR and ASR. And so that's it for validations and reminders. So I did want to make sure to let you guys know that the reporting requirements calendar has gone live. We did send out that link on Tuesday through the Engage OK newsletter for those of you who do get that. It's a due date of local, state, and federal reports. And this year, just like it was in the past, this reporting requirements calendar can be viewed online or by PDF. And one cool thing about the requirements calendar this year is the way that we've set it up online, you're able to download the calendar directly to your own personal calendar for ease of use. And so Aaron put a link to that in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here for just a second. I want to show you guys a little bit of how this new reporting requirements works. So give me 1 second to get switched up here. All right, so okay, so you should see my screen now. It should be on the ste.ok.gov website. And so to get to the reporting requirements calendar, you've got two options. You can either, from the SDE website, go to the resources tab, go to student information, go to documents and guidance on the lower right-hand side of the screen. And then here under requirements documents, the second one from the bottom, it's listed, it says new next to it, is the reporting requirements document for the 2021 school year. And so we have links to the webpage and links to the PDF. And so if you click the webpage, it'll take you right to it. Alternatively, if you're on single sign-on, you can go here under links and docs. And under the, right here, it hasn't been updated just yet, a little behind on that. If you click this link here, it will eventually take you directly to this web page. Right now, it's taking you to the requirements document from last year, and you can kind of work around and get to it that way. But once that link is updated, it will take you directly to this web page. So, like I said, the thing that we were most excited about with this calendar this year is the fact that you can import this into your own personal calendar. Now, if it's a little small for you, you can on the lower right-hand side of your screen, click View Larger. It'll open up in a new tab, and it'll take up pretty much the whole screen. And so, right here, if you wanted to know, say, what was going on August 10th, there's a report that has the word "end" at the end. So if you click on it, it'll bring this up in a vertical format, and it'll have all the information about the report. And so the report I'm showing right now is the claim for reimbursements for lunches. You can see which OSDE division is over that report. You can see what the report window is. There are some options. If you hover over the name, it'll detail what those are, what the start and end dates are, a little description of what the report is, as well as instructions on how to get to it. Most of the reports that take you to a website are hyperlinked. So, for example, the CAR system for child nutrition, single sign-on links, links to the WAVE, et cetera, et cetera. We have made sure that those are all clickable for you. If you quickly want to see where a report's at, you can see it right there, like I said. If there was legislation, that would be filled in. If there were links to things not already linked in the instructions, say there was a FAQ that they had related to a report, we would make sure that all of those are under related links. If there was a report dependent on the report that you're looking at, the link to that report would be there, and you can just click right through it. And then lastly, we have the office contact, phone number, and website for the report, as well as telling you what type of report it is, if it's state, federal, or something else. We've also made sure to include a last modified date, just in case a division comes back to us and says they needed a, say, end date updated, or if a report has to be pushed back. Now, we have reached out to every single department head who is included in this reporting requirements calendar to make sure that we have accurate dates. So if you are questioning whether or not a report is for, say, this year or next year, please reach out to us, and we can get back with the division head to make sure that we're either explaining to you all that this is a report for the upcoming school year, or if this is something otherwise. So to import the calendar into your own personal calendar, it's very easy. All you have to do is click these three dots here. It'll bring up a pop-up, and the second one in the middle, it'll say download iCal. If you click that, you'll see on the bottom of your screen, it will say prepping iCal for download. And once it's complete, it'll disappear. I've done this a few times. now, so I'm not going to walk you through how to get it into your calendar specifically, but I'm just showing you how you can. If you click this, it'll bring up your Outlook. If you use Outlook, it'll pop this up and it'll automatically import the calendar for you. Now, usually with Outlook, it will, if you're using a desktop application, it will bring up the calendar view at the very bottom of your screen of calendars if you don't have that. If it doesn't appear automatically for you. For those of you who use Outlook Online, it'll automatically be checked off so you can see what's going on with the calendar here. Let me actually just go ahead and show you guys real quick what that will look like. Sure, I'm not sharing anything I should not be. Okay. So when you first get the calendar into your Outlook, it'll show up something like this. So I mentioned that there was a report that had something going on August 10th, and there's that report on your calendar. If you click it, it'll bring up more detail about what that report is, but there will also be a link. And if you click that link, it'll open up whatever web browser you typically use, and it'll bring the calendar back up. And automatically, you can see that the report that you were looking at on the 10th is pulled up. If you wanted to share a report with somebody else and they don't necessarily have the link to the error table, and you wanted to just quickly go, hey, check this out. What you can do is, if you take a look at my URL and see how it looks right now, when I click on a report, that URL will change. So if you copy that and paste it, when it opens up again, the report that I just clicked on will automatically be opened. So hopefully this is a lot easier than what I think some of you may have done in the past, is just screenshot sections of a report or tell somebody to go to, hey, page 35 of 50 to look at information. And all of the relevant information will still be there. If looking at a calendar is not what you want to do, we do still have links to show the reports by division and by due date. These look very similarly to what we've put out in the past. So if you look at it by division, you can see that we have every OSTE division linked up. Each division has their own color. So say if you want to see what was going on in the Data and Information Systems office, you can see horizontally now all of the information about the reports. And there are helpers. So if you're a little curious about what a particular column means or what it's doing, if you just hover over the little eye icon, it'll bring this pop-up up. Again, if you wanted to see the information similarly to how you can in the calendar, viewing the information vertically, that is, if you just click on the report, you can look at it that way. And you can also just scroll right through and see what's going on that way. And if you look at it by division and you really hate the group by, rather than going and getting a different link, you can just click this, make it go away. And if you want it back, we can bring it back. So this won't mess up anything. If you refresh the page, it'll go right back to how it was with the grouping. Voila. If you wanted to look at it by due date, it looks very similarly to how it just did when I got rid of the grouping. It will have every report in order of OSTE division. It's not an order by start date or end date, but you can again do your own sorting, filtering, and grouping. These buttons here will allow you to do that. So it's very, very easy. This works very similarly to Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel if you use that. So again, we just hope that this is a little bit easier for you to use. One thing I have to say, I would not suggest printing the reporting requirements document through Airtable. There's just a lot of information and it's going to look weird if you try to fit this to an 8 by 11 page. So what we did was, if you look at the PDF, is we made it printing friendly. So this is just going to be every report in order of start and end date. Again, if you're seeing a strange date that you have questions on because you're not sure if it's, you know, for this year or next year, please reach out to us or that office contact, and they will reach back out to us to make updates. That's again why we made sure to put this last modified date here and as well as on the PDF, so you'll know whether or not you're looking at a current version or a updated version. If we do have to make updates, we will make sure to let you know, so it's not a surprise. And yeah, that's about it. If you do have some questions on how to use Airtable, this third link on the reporting requirements calendar webpage will walk you through that. If you click here, you can see in the table of contents what we're working with. The instructions on how to download the calendar to Outlook, if I went a little fast for you guys, is here as well. If you just click it, it'll bring you right to that list of instructions. Some of this first picture here isn't really relevant to you all with the way that we presented the information back out to you. So you can just ignore that and follow the rest of the instructions as I did earlier here. If there is anything on here that you do have questions about that we don't have in the tips on how to use Airtable, please let us know so we can make sure to get that added for everybody else. Okay, so going back to the slideshow. As we've said before, we do have a Teams collaboration. For those of you who are on the call and aren't a part of that team, it's just an easier way for us to be able to be in communication with school districts right now. For SDE, it's our office and state aid. So if you do have questions that you just wanted to get a quick answer on, you can just use that team. We're monitoring that kind of throughout the day. You can at specific people. So this works again similarly to if you guys use Slack or even Facebook. If you at somebody's name, it'll send us a ping that somebody is directly mentioning us in a question or a chat. We can also set up one-on-one meetings with you all if there's something that we need to get addressed pretty quickly. And we do have a sign up link that is still on the WAVE homepage, and we'll get you added hopefully pretty quickly after you sign up there, so you can see what's going on. A lot of the updates that we do put on the WAVE homepage do get posted in this Teams, so you can get on the fly notifications when we have fixed an issue, or if there's just a general update that we need to give quickly to you all. And so with that, I will stop talking and let you guys know if you do again have questions. Our email address is on your screen. And for any of the documents that I've talked about in this call or in any other call that we have, they are on our student information documents and guides website. You can quickly know if it's a new document that we've uploaded, because we will always put the bolded word new in red next to whatever is being added or updated. So I'll go ahead and stop the recording and open it up to questions.